I firmly believe that every person who offers therapy or counseling or coaching for that matter of any kind must experience it for themselves as a client. Today, I want to share with you my 5th ever experience of attempting to seek help through therapy and how it changed the whole direction of my life. I'm 28 years old, more or less, in the last year of my undergraduate degree in a small town in South Africa. I went into this therapy with a lot more hope than the previous 4 experiences, because even though the last one had ended really abruptly and suddenly, leaving a part of me quite anxious that I'd somehow killed my therapist. Overall, it had been a good experience. It had held a positive charge for me. My symptoms have improved, at least to some extent, and I'm in a better place. But I'm still grieving, and I'm having awful flashbacks to my childhood, which I'm beginning to realize is a heavy burden that I'm carrying. There's no one I can talk to about this stuff, and I feel very alone. The psychology center had made this appointment for me, and I was relieved to find out that the therapist is a woman. So I go to the appointment, and as she leads me to her office, I realize it's the exact same office as my previous therapist. And it's a bit weird. I feel a bit uncomfortable. But she sits down, I sit down, and she asks me why I'm here. She's holding a file, and it's obviously a file about me, and I have no idea what it says, and I have no idea what my previous therapist said about me. So I'm nervous, but at the same time, she has a really nice, kind face. She looks a bit nervous herself, and she's young. But there's something about her that makes me relax, and I let down my guard and I begin to talk. And it's like a tap has opened inside me, and my stories begin to gush out. I talk to her twice a week. Don't stop talking for the next year and a half. Most sessions, I sit down, I launch into whatever I'm launching into. I cry my eyes out, and she listens, and she barely gets a word in edgeways until well into the session, when I finally pause to take a breath, and she says, okay, Karen, let's go back. And she asks me a question about something that I've said earlier, or makes a link between another session that we've had, and I'm off again. And so it continues. The sessions are booked for 50 minutes, but we usually go on for at least 70 minutes and even longer. And you know, I actually wish that she would end on time, because I can't stop. And by the time that we finally call it quits, I'm usually absolutely exhausted and drained. But I keep going back. I want to see her. I'm eager to engage in this process. She doesn't give a lot of feedback. She hardly ever tells me what she thinks. She hardly ever gives me an interpretation. But I see her feelings on her face, and when something clicks for me, her whole body language just encourages me and applauds me, and she really, really listens. And for me, that is so novel, because no one has ever really listened to me. And I can feel a difference. My symptoms have reduced, and that's good, but that's not all I'm getting out of this process. I'm starting to notice things about myself. I'm becoming more interesting to myself. I'm starting to see that I might be more than the victim, or more than the role that I've played in my family. I feel a bit like a bird in a cage who's realized that the cage isn't locked and I can open the door at any time. I can feel my horizons opening up, and I can just see the opportunities expanding in front of me. And that is an incredible feeling. I start to exercise. I start to eat better. I start to take good care of myself for the first time in my entire life. I continue to get good marks at university, and at the end of my undergraduate, I'm offered a place in a program for information systems, which is a very sought after program at the university that I'm in, because it offers an internship at a big global multinational corporation, and all kinds of opportunities arise from there. People who do this particular program normally end up doing pretty well, and I want that for myself. I've already sacrificed a lot to be able to study at all, and my plan has always been to enter corporate. But with my therapist, I start to understand that something different is starting to call to me. I love psychology. I love being in therapy. Other people don't seem to notice, but inside, I feel like a new person. I feel completely different. I've spent my whole life wanting to die. And now I realize that I want to live and I want to help other people. But if I study psychology, it's going to take years. It's going to cost a fortune. And there's no guarantees. In South Africa, it's really, really difficult to get into the master's clinical program. But when I think about becoming a clinical psychologist, I light up inside. I feel alive. I feel excited. It's what I want to do. So I turn down the place in the information systems program and I choose a completely different direction. In my next video, I'm going to talk about the changes that being in therapy as a client has made in my life.